This thing, I swear. I can see the camera down here. Video setting. No other camera show. Of course not. All right. Well, then we'll just do it that way. Hold. You admit courses. This is Crim Law. It's still in part 1. Yeah, bring that back there. Okay, morality. Do we talk about morality?
No.
Okay. That may be where we need to talk then. All right, we got 4 minutes. Tell me what's going on in the world. If I said COVID, you'd say,
I'm supposed to be completely back.
Is that what you think? Yeah, they're talking about bringing COVID back. Apparently they liked it so much they want to do it again. First places I'd heard about it were Lionsgate Films. Is it Morris Brown College? Some name like that, and it's off in Atlanta, Georgia. Rutgers, they have mandated vaccines. And so it's like, yeah, that stuff's starting to come back. Mandated vaccines thing, though, that's a holdover from 2021. And so, but yeah, so it's quite possible. We are going into an election season after all. I don't know if that has any bearing on it. It has some bearing on it. All right, so we got 3 here. I'll take roll in a second. I'm gonna go add some water to this because I don't have much water. The Lion King down the home. I don't know what to do with that. Just wait to be king. All right. All right, that's there. This is criminal law. We'll start out with those that are online just quickly. Brendan. Let's see Edwards. Let's see Edwards. That would be. Yeah.
Does this one have mouse issues?
No, it's having camera issues. Like I can't get to recognize the fact there's a camera there, and so I have to use this camera, which I mean, I guess will work. So you can angle a little bit more so you can see the boards. But
I can see that.
yeah, it works.
Okay.
Cortez, that's Cortez. Okay. And then in here, we have, this is the right one. Yes, this is the right one. We have you. You are. Okay. Reese. Sarah. Racy. Race. We have Cannon. We have, still working on your name. Hold on. Double-sided. Landon. Yes. Okay. Landon. All right. Next to you is Presley. Yes. Okay. Presley. Next to you is, I'm horrible with names. Simone. Simone. All right. Simone. Presley. Okay. You are trouble. You are, I just saw you on here. Bailey. Bailey. You pronounce it Bailey, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You, I'm going blind at this point in time. Name Amelia. You're probably at the top of the list over here. No, I'm not seeing it there. It's right in front of me. I don't know.
E. It starts with an
E. Okay. That didn't help me any. Why am I not seeing it on here? What's your last name?
Sweet.
So it would be over here. And it's right in front of me. Damn. Yeah. Going blind. Going blind. All right. So next up we have, you're over here. That's Ethan. And you are a bigger distance away. Yes. Elizabeth. Elizabeth. Yes. It's hard for me to tell. Next to you is Lainey. All right. And then I should remember yours. I don't though, so I will cheat. Some pictures here. I'm not seeing yours. There you are, Bo. And is that everyone? We had, I think so. What else we're missing? Nope, I got everybody. All right, cool. So now we've got people. Ooh, we got one more coming in. All right, so COVID is a possibility, which is sad. I'm not a big fan of that. I was glad to come here and see that people are actually meeting in class and that kind of stuff, but hopefully it continues that way. And, spotlight, make it a little bit bigger so that board can actually be seen. Okay. Let's see. Last time we talked about, what did we talk about last time?
punishment or rehabilitation and retribution.
Goals, we talked about goals. Did we do introductions finally? Or was that the class before? Have we done that in here? I've been real slow at doing that this year. Usually the first couple classes I introduce myself and I have you all introduce yourselves. I know I asked for name, major. That sound familiar in here? Is that? Yeah, yeah. You guys turned that in, right? Did we go over that in class or no? Okay. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We can go. Oh, thank you. I like that. We could go over that. We probably, you guys want to go over that today, or you want to not talk about yourselves? Myself, I'm not my favorite topic either. Okay, so we won't do that. However, I will talk about willpower. No, in any of my classes, asking for extra work. Why is that?
You don't want to do it?
Why not? I mean, you guys are paying money to do work, to learn things, and here I am offering work where you don't have to pay money. That's interesting, right? Any of you speak Latin? No. There's gonna be some Latin in this class, a law class. Not this phrase, that phrase. Any guesses as to what that means? Sometimes certain phrases you can figure out by looking at it. Some phrases you cannot. Look at root words, you might be able to pick out. This keys to the kingdom of heaven. What I gave you. You guys figure out how to use those, let me know. And I'll be glad to do the work. Think about that. That's all we need that for. I like Latin, it makes you sound smart. You don't actually have to know much Latin to sound smart, you just have to know a few phrases. At least that's been my experience. Keys to the kingdom. Mala in se. What does that mean? You guys seen those words before? You had intro with me? Got a yes, we still didn't. Okay, this might help. Mala in se and mala prohibitum. I'm sorry, this screen isn't coming through very well. For some reason, the cameras are not working again, so it's that camera on the computer, which is subpar. So I'll read out whatever it says here because you probably can't make that out. Mala in se. We're playing the root game. What do you think this word means? Bad. Bad. Yes. So it's bad. Something is bad. In se. Any of you who are thinking about law, if someone is going with a pro se defense, it's not a wise decision. Their lawyers, pro se. You're representing yourself here. Right? So if that's representing yourself, what is this?
Representing others.
No. In itself. Good guess though. So if that's bad in itself, why is this one bad?
Habitually, as related to something else.
It's just bad because we prohibit it.
Hmm.
Right? Not in itself. Let's spell it correctly. Prohibited. Right? You're a juvenile. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. You're outside in public. Prohibited, right? If you have live in a place that has a curfew, you need to be in your yard or in your house. Otherwise, you're doing something criminal. It's only bad because we say it's bad. In theory. When you look at this is probably the one of the first ways morality where it comes in. Morals come in. Definitely talk a lot about culture, those types of things. That's where that's the engine, for lack of a better word, that drives this. Okay. Examples of crimes that are bad in themselves. Yeah. Murder.
Theft.
Yeah. Maybe.
Arson.
So
Attempted murder.
I like it. Yeah, but you're not very successful. We're gonna go with the successful people. We're gonna say music.
Breaking.
Maybe. How do you feel about this one? Anybody's got warm and fuzzy feelings, we probably need to talk. Yeah. This right there, sex crimes, those have a high degree of morality to them, yes. Favorite defense, when I say that, I say, one of the most horrible defenses I've ever heard. So let's put forward for this. Why should we punish this person for the next few years of their life when it was only 5 minutes? Yeah, you can kill somebody real fast too. Like, yeah, it doesn't make it any less bad, it just means it's faster. Doesn't make it better. No. Bad in itself. Breaking or you can see make arguments for both these. So what's something bad because we prohibited it?
Thieving.
Speed. They say speed kills.
Drug crimes.
The other type of speed. Drugs. What else?
That's nothing on like Barbara.
You got an argument for that one. That one's a little harder to class because it's not really so moral in its nature. It's just something about, you know, you're intruding in my area, or are you really? It'd be like,
Might just be passing through.
yeah, let's say, you live on a 1 acre area of land. It's a good sized yard. Okay. I need to go across the street at the local liquor store. I walk through your yard. Am I trespassing? Yeah. Is it wrong? Not really. If I'm right up next to your house, kind of peering in the windows, then it's a little different there. Bad in itself, this one's only bad because we really prohibit it. It would be speed, drugs, prostitution. All those types of crimes, right? There are lots of things that we determine are illegal that don't need to be. If I said jaywalking, like there's not really much in there that's moral. It's just, yeah, we were prohibited. That kind of stuff. So let's just start thinking about morality. See other things we need to talk about. Sources. Okay, we've already talked about the government. You know that there are 3 systems. I shouldn't have to tell you that, yes? Okay, good. Yeah, don't get me worried. This one's going to concern itself with that judicial component. So 1 of the 3 balances. Normal stuff. Court systems. Sources of law. We've talked about English common law as one. We'll come back to this in a minute. All right. Sources. Did that. Common law. What are our other sources for law?
Case law.
Case law. We talked about that one. Others? One of them I had you write some stuff on. Has there been anything written on?
Constitution.
Yeah. Constitution / Bill of Rights. Okay. Common law, case law, Constitution, Bill of Rights. What level was this one? Federal level? Okay. What's the other big division we have in this country? We have federal, state, okay? State constitution, your state has one, two. It'll outline certain things there that are relevant for criminal laws. Where else? Common law, case law, constitutions. Where else do we find it? Law.
Statutory law.
There we go. Excellent. Statutory. Stop talking about that for a second. So you can say criminal law, you can say criminal justice. There's two big types of law. This one, statutory. Sometimes it's called substantive. Substantive. I won't off my tongue like it normally does. Okay, substantive law. That's all your statutes. That's this class, right? We'll start getting in those very soon. Okay, the other side, this is aside from sources. Procedural law. Procedures, right? That class here, whenever I teach it, I've got more themed towards policing because policing is the entry point for this whole system for 99% of all cases. And so it's all about making sure you maintain that process appropriately, because if you screw it up, you might be letting that person go on the technicality. Right? You violate their rights. What's the graver issue? The rights violation, not the crime the person committed. That's one of those things that when we're talking about the balance in the system, what errors we manage, that's a big one, right? We screw something up, guess what? We're gonna deal with that first, not the crimes you committed. But also covers things like, how do you pick juries? Where do you get your pool of potential candidates that you get to call up, send them a letter and say, hey, start showing up, calling in weekly, showing up regularly? That's process. Okay. Any other sources? One more. Administrative. We also call it bureaucracy. So those are entities that don't have any ability to affect this, but the things that they do are treated as the law, just the same. You guys have any ideas what that is? Any examples or anything pop up in your mind?
Probably kind of something like the health organ, like World Health Organization.
It'd be stuff like that. It'd be like CDC says, you know, you must do these things. And then if you don't, you might be held in criminal law, even though there's not statutes on it. A better example would be like this one actually happened back in California. I'm gonna say it's about a decade ago, maybe it's 15 years ago. They had an issue with droughts. Sounds familiar, right? It's like an annual thing over in California. There are farmers in California. And but the drought was so bad they weren't allowed to water their crops using the normal water supplies. There was available water. The reason why they weren't allowed to use it was there was a protected animal in said water because it was protected, EPA protections, that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, you don't get to use that water. So those farms withered and died off, kind of thing. It's like, yeah, that's they're treating that as law, but that's something that no one voted in, no one approved that. That's bureaucracy. Is exactly. If I said ATF, it said bump stocks. When I say bump stocks, how many of you know what I'm talking about? Not a bad number for if I were in an inner city, it'd be fever, that kind of thing, because it was. How many almost shot a gun? Yeah, better, much better. Okay, when you shoot a gun, there's recoil, right? It kind of kicks back at you a little bit. All that thing does is, it's like a stock that it can slide into. And rather than pulling the trigger, it's got a little rest for your fingers. You hold your finger in one place. You pull out the gun, and if you pull it out just hard enough, the recoil will cause it to kick back enough to where it resets the trigger. And since you're still pulling that out, it fires off again. So you get, yeah, there you go. Full auto. Is that full auto? No. Is it something that the ATF regulates? They go back and forth on that, right? That's not law that's changing. I said, I have a pistol. I'm going to put a brace on it that wraps around my arm. Right? Have I made a rifle, or is it still a pistol? That's ATF. Like ATF, DEA, EPA. It's like there's all those organizations, they have authority, they have power and influence. And they can make major changes to what's considered criminal and what isn't. That's an example of administrative law. Okay. Ooh. This is what we left out talking about last class. When I was talking about courtroom actors. You guys remember that?
Mhm.
Okay. Run me through that again. Who are they?
The
Judge,
jury,
jury,
defendant,
defendant,
prosecution,
prosecution,
witness,
witness,
bailiff,
bailiff. That's good. Yeah, the main ones I want to talk about. Really, the two on the left, judge and prosecutor. Oh, it's in the back. There we go. These two positions in particular have a high degree of discretion. When I say discretion, discretion is another word for what?
judgment,
Choice. Mhm. You have these options available to you. It is your choice what option you choose. You can come to class and do your work, you'll do well. Skip class, don't do your work, you won't do well. Come to class, do the work, do well. Ask me for more work. Options, right? Can't really do well like that last. I don't get it, but. The powers that these people have, it's not unfettered, but it is an extreme amount of power. Here's probably one of the, if not the most powerful person body there. What do they do?
evidence against
Mhm.
a defendant,
Think about before the trial. Think about before there's a need for a trial.
yeah, armed in some way, or
Close. Who decides that there will be a trial?
mhm.
Prosecution. Okay. Say. We'll do the process a little bit and kind of walk you guys through that, and then we'll jump off that. Okay. Everyone in here been stopped by the police? Raise your hand if you've never been stopped by the police before. Really? That many have never been stopped by the police? How? How did you manage that?
Got stopped by a police yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. Worst one I ever got was a 55 and a 25. I didn't get a ticket, but
Well, I didn't even know.
just flirted with the guy a little bit. And he's like, "Dude, you get the hell out of here." Okay, I'm gone. It works. Anyhow. Okay, so initial contact. Right, you have some, it can be just casual conversation, this is full procedures, we'll get back to this. Be anything from casual conversation to, there, you see flashing lights, they can stop you. And if there's justification there, you won't necessarily know about, the officer will, right? Stop you, probable cause develops, you get an arrest, right? Get arrested, you get taken in, they'll do what when they take you down to the station? Yeah, processing, booking, right? Maybe holding, maybe you're waiting for, your initial appearance, arraignment, those types of things. That's process. As that's happening, police are done, they'll file some paperwork over here. Prosecutor makes that decision whether or not, do we want to seek after charges? Are we going to charge this person? Yes or no? Right? And so what happens at that point can change to some degree. Depending on what crime you are actually facing, where you're at, what state process is in place, or your federal level, what type of crime is really what we're talking about. You either have an information or a grand jury hearing. You guys remember what those things are? An information or a grand jury? Grand jury. Okay. So depending on the states, a lot of states, they don't have a grand jury process. Federal level does. That's why anytime you see federal charges, you'll say so-and-so is indicted. What that means is they have an extra step. Right, so what they'll do is they'll decide, yes, we want to go after charges. They'll get together a grand jury, which is a lot like a regular jury, except for only the prosecution presents the case. Right, so you're just hearing one side of the story. Is there enough there to establish probable cause? Is it more than likely that this person did it? If that's the case, they will indict the person and then you move into a real trial. Probably heard that term indicted in a negative context. Been used politically in the last couple of months, but even before that, anytime you hear it in the news, it was so-and-so was indicted. Look at this evil bastard. He stole all these people's money. And it's like, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. That's not been decided yet. All that's been decided is we're going to have a trial. That's what that is. And information is a little bit different. Prosecution files that there is no jury involved. Typically what happens is that's heard basically before a judge. Both cases, both sides can present defense, prosecution, and then they'll make a determination as to whether it's going to trial or not. Prosecutor makes that decision, prosecutor alone. There are many other decisions. That's probably the first biggest and most important one, I think. There are many other things a prosecutor can do. So I don't remember the order of this class. We talk about plea bargainings, that kind of stuff's going to be there. If you're going to be a witness, whether or not what you say will be held against you, whether the waiver is there or not. Realize there was something I left out in my intro class that will probably come up in here that is political. Important things. They're discretionary decisions, right? You have to be very, 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 very careful here. Basically, we start dealing with when we deal with a judge is there are more limitations there. For example, let's say jury trial. Jury finds guilty. They come back to the recommended sentence. Judge has some discretion on how much that follows that. There might be relevant statutes that apply and limit that discretion. For example, it says, if you're found guilty of this crime, you'll serve a minimum of 5, but not more than 15 years. And so it's like the judge has that range. They can amend things some. Some. You have to be very, very careful for this person, their role versus this role. Jury trial. These are the only people that can establish facts. Whenever we talked last time, I very briefly said, fact, truth. We already talked a little bit about those overlaps. They find facts. Any other party finds fact here, mistrial. Right? Because that's not what they do. It's not the role. There have been cases where the judge uses discretion to change somebody's sentence, increase it. Right? Well, did they do it within accordance to the guidelines that are in place? Yes, you're good to go. Do they do it outside of that? No, not good to go. If they went outside of it, that's bad. If they stay within it, good. Is there other aggravating circumstances there? That's why you're given the sentence. It's a bit more punitive. Did they find that, or did you? Right, what I'm saying there is there have been cases where it's like, person's dealing drugs. Okay. They are found guilty that they were dealing drugs. Carries with it a certain penalty. If you do it in certain places, that penalty is stiffer. You said you were at this location, you were dealing drugs. Well, they found you guilty of dealing drugs. That also fits the crime for distributing in school or whatever. That's aggravating circumstances. I'm going to increase your sentence by 10 years. Can't do that. You didn't find that fact. That's got to be these people finding facts, not your role, mistrial, that kind of thing. So there's some limits there, but they're definite discretionary decisions. Classifications. Here's where we'll talk about morality a little bit more and the ways the system works. So, question. Maybe I'll do this one too. This is my intro earlier. I like asking this question. See what you guys say. What causes crime? Opportunity. It's a good one. What else?
Desperation. Desperation. I don't know if it's the right term, but deviancy.
Little lap moments. Yeah.
The law.
The law. Okay, we'll stop there. I'm glad you threw that one out. Okay. Usually when I ask this question, what I get are things that are can't be explanatory factors, like you can explain why someone committed a crime using these things. This one's a little bit different because it keys into the fact that we identify what behaviors are criminal. So we pick to some degree. Socially informed, culturally driven, but we do pick it to some degree. In specifying what specific behaviors are crime. Oh. I should ask it like that. What are some types of crime? We've talked about some already. I mean, you guys boys going to start out with this one. Murder. Murder is always a fun one.
Theft.
Theft. Yeah, murder, theft,
Overdose.
like
Or
GTA or
Yeah,
like hitting
why not?
somebody.
any kind of vehicular crime.
GTA. Vehicular manslaughter. One of my last universities I was at, I had a guy who was in charge of the ROTC program. His last name was Slaughter and his rank was sergeant. And every time I saw that, I would laugh my ass off. Do any of you know why? You're not, you guys ever heard of Sergeant Slaughter? Raise your hand.
They might be too young.
You. That makes me feel really old. Sergeant Slaughter was a wrestler in like 90s, right? Might have been 80s, may have been 80s, actually, may have been late 80s. Yeah. He was really cool. Sad. Anyhow. Okay. GTA over here. Any other crimes? What about you all online? What type of crimes do you have?
Rape.
Apparently my sound's not working. Like I can't hear sound either. Let's see if I can fix that. Test, test, test.
I can.
There.
hear you.
I can hear you now. Excellent. All right. What'd you say?
I said, rape,
Yeah, here we go.
drug crimes.
Drugs. There we go. That's more my speed. All right.
Abductions,
Abduction,
sex trafficking,
kidnapping, trafficking. Okay, we'll stop there for now. This is good. Okay. If you were going to classify these things, put them into groups of similar types of crimes, how would you do so?
there's no violence.
Okay, these are violent. These are not violent. What's this one?
Violent,
Is it?
trafficking people,
It depends on what you're trafficking, right?
taking
It
people.
can be people, it can be drugs, it can be guns, it can be explosives. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Doesn't necessarily have, but yes, it can be. So it's like, okay, is this one here? Is this one over here? You know, what are we doing here? Right? And of course, as you're, let's say, theft, are we talking about burglary? Are we talking about robbery? Right? That's a legitimate question. Because then one might fall into one of those categories, one might fall into a different. There are many, many ways to classify crimes. The most common way, you'll see crimes divided when you deal with them. Classification of crime. We'll leave that up there. Murder. Someone gets out of prison. What do we call them? There's a term after that, right?
Parole.
Parolee, maybe. Maybe they got out through parole, maybe they didn't. Ex-con or there's another one you can call somebody. There you go. Oh. What is that referring to? Felony. Okay. What's the other division? Yeah. You know, I had a really funny thought cross my head this morning. About 1 this morning. We switched shifts and now half my day is surrounded by children. I realized I keep my children in order. My wife does not. Them more chaotic, and it makes a whole lot of sense because if you think about mischief, it is female, right? It's like this one, miss, dad, car. That's not horrible. That was horrible. I am so sorry. I got 5 kids. You're gonna have to get those every now and again. Okay. So big classification, the one that's used across the board, felony and misdemeanor. Right? This is actually a measure of seriousness. One's more, one's less serious. I told my intro people I was talking about. When you look at punishments, shorter length, longer, or money, less, more. I want to say there's a hard rule on how much time is between a misdemeanor and felony. I should say it's semi-rigid rule. Can't remember that off the top of my head now that I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking more between prisons and jail, but that's a different class. Jail's less than 1 year, prison it's longer than a year. I don't think it runs that way with this because some misdemeanors do have longer length. Okay. So which of these is a felony? Which of these is a misdemeanor? Okay, felony. What's a felony?
Right?
Rape is a felony.
Kidnapping.
Kidnapping is a felony.
um,
Trafficking is a felony. Which one? Grand theft auto is a felony.
Robbery.
Okay, good one. Robbery.
Certain drugs.
Yeah. Approximately drugs. Depending on the specific type, it can be dealing with misdemeanor felony. I said, marijuana use here in Oklahoma, misdemeanor. Yeah, they reclassified that one. Anyone know what the punishments are off the top of their head?
Is there a drug rehab?
It depends. There's a monetary fine associated with it, and I want to say a prison term, not prison, maybe it's jail. But there's some imprisonment associated with it, unless you can cite a medical reason. If you read the language to the statute itself, it's like, if you got your medical marijuana, that's one thing. If you just cite a medical reason while you're being pulled over and it's being confiscated, it drops down from like several $1,000s to like a couple hundred. And that's just being able to, yeah, I take this for, my sciatica. I don't know, whatever reason. I don't know what kind of ways they get approved, but apparently they do. But yeah, so it's like, this goes all the way from, depending on the type of drug, to years in prison, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars, maybe, to a couple hundred. Like, you might as well have a speeding ticket. Like that's what we're talking about. Wide range. Okay. Why is this one robbery a felony, but burglary isn't?
Robbery, they typically have a gun. And they're threatening.
There's
to-
people involved, yeah.
There's a whole bunch of people involved.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So. When I was talking about our governmental system. I don't think I mentioned this word right here. Decentralized. Did I mention that term? Okay. You ever heard that term before? What does it mean?
Centralized government would be like a single governing body,
Mhm.
decentralized multiple governing bodies.
So this system, courts is more centralized than any other system we have. But by and large, the system is decentralized. The way things work here in this state, not the same way it works one state over. There'll be heavy common themes you'll find between them. Okay? For example, I looked at sentence lengths for the different types of murder. They're going to be really, really close. The language will be really, really close. It won't be exactly the same. So that means there's going to be some differences here. That's going to come up later. So sometimes you'll see different classifications, things get classified differently. Probably a really, really good example of this is this one right here. So you have felony versus misdemeanor. You have the seriousness attached. There's the moral turpitude. Those are crimes that generate more of a response than a criminal justice response. I said sex crimes. Yeah, some people have gotten really, 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 really low sentences for that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, that's just not good. Morality for that one's much higher. Seriousness that we actually give the system, it's been increasing, but it's not as good as what it used to be. For example, about 6 minutes. Are you taking emails or?
No, it's just going off,
Oh, okay.
going off.
If you're checking your phone, like
No.
if you're looking at the watch, like that bored, really.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, where was I going? Okay, so you got felonies and misdemeanors. Common additional systems that run with it, you might see things like this is a class A, B, C felony, or class A, B, C, D misdemeanor.
Isn't C the worst?
Typically, they go in reverse order, so as the higher the level, the level is, the lower the, I should say, the earlier the letter, so this one would be more serious than this one. Except for you have some, but that's not across all, I can't say with 100% certainty it's across all states, say it's not, no, it's
I
like
know it's
that.
in Oklahoma where the highest is, or the top is like the highest level, like that's, you did like a really
Yes.
bad crime.
Yes, yes, so the more, usually the more you go up this way, the worse it is. There are some states that do things a little bit differently, and like a decentralized, so it's kind of a patchwork thing. We try to do what works and we try to adapt from other states, but for example, 1990s, I was in Illinois. They actually had, I think it was ABC, I think they had a D, but they also had class F and class Y for very specific types of crimes. Right? Out of all misdemeanors, class X carried the most severe penalties. Sex crimes against children, class X. And so it's like, okay, so it's most severe, most serious, but it was still just a misdemeanor. Right? That's the way that works sometimes. So most commonly used, universal, some wiggle room here. But realize these things don't always line up with where you think that they would. If I said something like molestation of a child, something like that, it's like most of you are gonna be like, yeah, that should be over here. But yeah, no, it's not. If I asked you the penalty for animal abuse. Oh, yeah. We care about the animals. Yeah, that's this system. It doesn't always work the best. There are going to be obvious flaws that you'll see as we go through. There'll be things that are really difficult to get not around, like getting your mind wrapped around it, but to see, you know, if you were actively doing it and trying to process these things, where some of these things can get really, really off. Then we'll have robbery up here. Another classification is used more on the research side, not the law. So go out there, minutes, I'll tell you about this, and then we'll cut part ways for the week. Crimes against person, crimes against property, very commonly used in research, right? What is robbery? Is it a crime against person or a crime against property?
Person.
Well, you could say it's either, both. It's like, I genuinely don't know. I do know that if you look at the federal level, they'll say one thing. Some states will say others. So it's like, I can't remember. I want to say federal, it was person, state, it was property, or maybe I flipped those. I think I might have flipped those. I think federal is more about the property. And so it's like, yeah, so there's these classification things are not always easy. And then they had to be written openly enough to where the behaviors that you're looking to control will actually fall into it. Let's see. Expression, classifications, grades of offense. I think we finished out chapter 1. Move over here. Scroll down. Oh, no, I didn't. Limitations on criminal law, establishment of guilt, and how to interpret a case. So we'll pick up with those next class time. Do you have any questions or anything? Yeah.
So for the quiz, do you just want us to like do that on our own whenever?
Yeah. So the quiz is online.
There's not a set time that you want us to like do it?
No. So the quiz is online and available. I think it's set to be due Monday. If you need more time, take it. It's fine. This first one. Nope, I was gonna say this first one's a little bit different, but it's not. My intro I did a little bit different. Usually, sometimes I'll make the first quiz a little easier just because you don't have books. You'll have 3 attempts on it, so you could try to take it and retake it and see if you get better. What you should do is study first, take it once, kind of review what you didn't know and take it again because it pulls from a random bank. So there'll be questions, but make sure you review the PowerPoints and the outlines because that's where there is no book in the stuff. It's all from that. When I think I may have put something, I want to said something last class when I said rehabilitation is not a goal of this. It's like, I think I've got it in the PowerPoints there, but really doesn't do that at all. It's not functionally a goal, but it may come up in questions. So just be aware of that. With that, have a great weekend. If you guys need anything, let me know. If you're looking for more work, I'm just 1 floor up and over there. Like there's that opportunity there for all of you. If you want more work, I'd be glad to share. I'll teach you some things. And I won't charge you any money. Thank you. Yeah, excellent. Excellent.
Hey,
Yeah.
did we, they're handing in paper, did we have any homework?
No, so the only thing that we had, and you may have sent me an email about this, we had a class where I asked you to number on your paper 1 to 10 for those online. So email just 1 to 10, try to write out the Bill of Rights, outline the rights as best as you can. And then from there, at the end of that paper or that email, just tell me a little bit about yourself, what your major is, just see if you're a CJ major or not. What you plan to do after you finish your degree. That's the big one.
Okay, I think I might have sent you something, but I'll check.
All right, cool. All right.
Appreciate it.
A great weekend, and I'll see you Monday. My pleasure. Bye.